Weidenhammer, also known as Madame Bee Speaker, because I love to talk about bees and I love to talk to bees. I love everything to do about bees. And today we're going to talk about some of the great plants that you can grow for bees in your garden. One of the essential plants is borage. I like to call it bee porridge because it's such great food for bees. It actually pumps out nectar every 5 minutes. So bees can come back, fill up, get the energy to collect the pollen for their babies. That's what makes bees such great pollinators. They actually use pollen as a protein to feed their larvae. So borage is also a fantastic plant in your garden because you can make tea with it. The flowers are edible. They're blue star-shaped flowers. They're really beautiful. It's easy to grow from seed. I would recommend planting it directly into the ground, not transplanting it. And once it starts growing in your garden, it actually self-seeds. And what's fantastic about that is it pops up all over your garden. If you're growing plants in the nightshade family, such as tomatoes and peppers and eggplant, you really need to have bumblebees in your garden. And bumblebees absolutely love this plant. So this is a must-have plant for your garden. This is Fireweed, aka Feuerkraut in German. It is a pioneer plant that grows in disturbed sites. In fact, it was one of the first things to grow at Mount St. Helens after the eruption. And it's also known as bombweed in England because in World War II, sites that had been bombed actually were colonized afterwards by fireweed. And they're really interesting flowers. What happens is the first day that they bloom, they start at the bottom and then they open up towards the top. So the bottom blooms are more mature. The first day they produce pollen, a kind of sticky teal colored pollen, and the second day they produce nectar. And then the bees feed up on the nectar as they crawl up the plant. It's kind of like a skyscraper for plants, for bees. And then that fuels their journey to collect this teal colored sticky pollen. Leafcutter bees also love this. You'll see the leafcutter bees carry pollen on their bellies. So take a look at this plant when you're in the garden and see if you see a bee with a really hairy yellow or orange belly collecting nectar, and that's a leafcutter bee. When the trees were first cut down in Vancouver in the 1800s, fireweed colonized the soil, and honeybees that had been brought from Europe made nests in trees and collected hundreds of pounds of honey made from the nectar of fireweed. This is called the west beach of our community garden, and it really gets a lot of sun, so it's quite dry. So we've used a lot of drought-tolerant bee plants here. Yarrow is fantastic in dry soil, and it actually is one of the best plants for attracting a biodiversity of insects. As you can see, the leaves are very ferny, and this also gives it its French name, millefeuille, or 1,000 leaves, in English milfoil. This is also a great plant to naturalize into a lawn. And so this ferny, lovely leaf can actually form a mat that is very lawn-like. The great thing about having this in your lawn, particularly if you like to play sports, if someone punches you in the nose accidentally during a football match, you can just take a leaf and stick it up your nostril and it will staunch the flow of your nosebleed. In fact, this is sometimes called the nosebleed plant. The flowers are actually made of tiny florets, which have nectar and pollen in little tiny cups that are the perfect size for the tongues of the bees that land on here and are thirsty and need a drink. It's also got a great landing pad for butterflies as well, and they can get nectar from this plant too. So those are 3 plants that will help you to have better tomatoes, riper apples and bigger cherries in your garden.